This week we're talking about first right of refusal, and which often goes with a sale contingency. So hopefully you saw our program on sale contingencies last week. If not, review and then come back to us. So with the sale contingency, you might have the seller saying, okay, I'll accept that sale contingency. However, I want to include a first right into the contract so that I can potentially accept another offer. So what would happen is if a secondary offer came in, the seller would go back to the primary buyer and say, primary buyer, can you exit from your sale contingency and proceed with the contract? And if the buyer said, no, I haven't found my buyer, I can't do that yet, then the seller has the right to turn to the secondary buyer and say, okay, let's make this happen. So sellers think of that as really mitigating their risk, and we'll get back to that. The other time that we see first right of refusal is with a property that has given that right away in some way or sold that right. So for example, we have a property, gorgeous farm right now, 5163 Independence, that has a first right on it. They traded with the city of Boulder some view protection around part of that parcel. And part of what they gave to the city was the first right to buy the property. So we have it listed for sale. When we get a buyer who wants to offer, we will turn to the city and say, city, do you have the money to go forward with this property? It's highly likely that the city will not, because it's an expensive parcel, and so the buyer will be able to continue with the purchase. Occasionally you find neighbors who will say, oh sure, yeah, if you want to buy my property, when I'm ready to sell, I'll give you the first right to first crack at it before anybody else. And sometimes they legalize that and record it with the city or the county, depending where they are. So those are the two scenarios that are most frequent. So what's the deal with a first right? Is that a problem for a seller? Is it good for the seller? So in general, it is a bit tricky for the seller. What sellers often don't realize is that in this instance with the sale contingency, when you have a home listed as having a first right in the MLS, the buyers who are looking at the MLS will think that that property isn't actually available in practical instance. So showings will plummet, and it's highly likely that you will not see another offer. With regards to if you've given away some rights to somebody else to be able to have the first right to buy your property, as long as you're okay with that can be fine. It can be a deterrent for other buyers, depending on the scenario. So just consider thoughtfully before moving forward. And thank you. We will see you next week. And if we can be a resource for you in the meantime with any real estate questions, let us know. Thanks.